Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. So let's start. Hey everyone, and welcome to another community call. This time we want to talk about the basic constitution proposals that some of you already saw on their HQ. It's regarding the to increase the root and validator nodes. And we thought it would be quite interesting to make a community call about this and to discuss some topics and also answer some questions from your side. So here we are. Today I will be joined by Martin, Alice, and Slimane. They will introduce themselves right now. I will give them the permission to speak. Let's start with Alice.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Can hear you.
Perfect. So my name is Alice. I'm a working student, currently finishing up my master's in Geneva, Switzerland, and I've been working with Hugh for just a little over a year, specifically on the topic of root nodes. Yeah, that's me. And happy to be here.
Let's go over to Martin.
Hey, hello everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, works fine.
Okay, great. Hey, hi everyone. So Martin, I've been with the Q protocol from the very beginning. So one of the co-initiators and also involved in a lot of the governance discussions and development around the protocol.
Thank you, Martin. Slimane?
Hey everyone, it's Slimane. I'm working as lead for Q. I joined end of last year, and I'm glad to be here today and answer all of your questions.
Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction and for coming. Of course, it's great that you all took some time to meet in this call. I just sent the proposal again in the stage channel chat in case some people didn't saw it, so you can just pick it up again and take a look. And yeah, so I think let's dive into the questions because I think that's the point of this call. And the first question that I would ask myself as a user would be, why do you actually increase right now the amount of root and validator nodes? I think, Slimane, when you would start for the validator nodes, that would be great. And when Alice can add their topic regarding the root nodes to it, this would be fine.
Yes. So there are similar reasons to increase the amount of root nodes and validator nodes. Obviously, you want to have, and I don't want to be redundant with Alice, but there are some similar reasons. And in case of the validator nodes, the reasons are mostly the same as you can find in other blockchains, such as Ethereum. And in that case, for example, you will have create incentives to increase the number of validator nodes. And so basically, the idea is to bring as much as we can to have enough diversity and to be censorship resistant, and also being able to be able to resist a Sybil attack, for example. Another reason could also be that you won't have resilience on the network. Obviously, if, for example, even barring an attack just for some reason, some nodes were to turn off or to be offline. Could it be because they're all using the same cloud provider, for example, to host their node, or there will be in the same geographic zone, or I don't know, they could be in a region, but the more nodes, the better, generally speaking. And currently, we believe that it is, the current number could be better, could be improved to reach a sufficient level, of security and resilience.
Cool. So on the root node side, basically the past few months I've received a lot of more interest. People reaching out to me wanting to potentially become a root node, and so the list of candidates has grown beyond the size of the current root node panel. And as Slimane has pointed out, it could be beneficial to make the size of the root node panel larger and invite more people on board. And one of the upsides is, as we have more root nodes from a wider geography backgrounds and also wider professional backgrounds, that diversity can translate into greater censorship resistance and incorruptibility and decentralization for the protocol. So why not?
Yeah, that's great. You both just mentioned the topic of diversity, and since we ended the ITN for I think around a month ago, and we had many people all over the world participating, and especially from Indonesia and Nigeria, and also from Europe, and it's very diversified. And I think to increase the root nodes and validator nodes, we'll tackle this topic pretty well. So, of course, there's kind of technical change as well. I think, Slimane, could you go more in detail to this topic, because you are the technical pro?
So yes, for this constitution update, once the update is going to be executed, related to this update, we have a new constitution hash, and we're going to go more into the details of voting process later. I believe it's a question for later, but there's a source that refers to that constitution, right? And the hash is the hash of this new version of the constitution. And also, there is an update on the parameters. So once all of that is going to be executed, we're going to have on-chain a new constitution hash when the method of will be called in the smart contracts. So all this is happening on-chain, and is going to update the parameters. Now, when those parameters will be effective, for example, in the case of validators, when a validator will enter the shortlist, it's going to refer to that very same parameter to allow to monitor the list of validators. And so this will help to those parameters will be used to monitor the list of validators, and same for the root nodes. But apart from that, it's not going to bring important protocol change in the way that really the protocol is going to behave and all of that. So it's more a parameter change and just a constitution hash update. So more like changing a few values, but the general behavior is not going to be largely affected. So my answer is a short one, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you, Slimane. I think because we just scratched the topic of the constitution again, or got a quick technical dive, I think I would like to add a side question for Martin. Could you describe the concept of the constitution in 2 or 3 sentences, Martin? So if somebody listens to the call again, he gets a quick information about it.
Yeah, sure. So the Q protocol is based on the Q constitution. So if you go, for example, to the Q website on q.org, You can download it. There is also a very, I think, nicely done version that you can look at on the website itself. And basically what the Q constitution does is lay down the basic rules of how the protocol functions and what it does, and including things like the rights and obligations of different stakeholders, but also rules about how the protocol itself is changed. So, and this is a bit different to other layer ones, where it's kind of a bit of a fuzzy process. So you have what's sometimes called rough social consensus, where a view forms in the community, but ultimately it depends on which nodes in the network will accept the change and which will not. But then you have very influential communities like Ethereum Foundation, let's say, or specific stakeholder groups that influence that view. But in Q, that's all based on what we call the Q constitution, which is essentially contract between all participants in the protocol. And the advantage is that you very clearly know what's going to happen or how changes are made, and that you can just look up, read, and then of course participate in proposed changes like we do now with votings on protocol upgrades.
Thank you, Martin. You can actually stay unmuted, because increasing the root and validator nodes, some people may ask themselves if this would affect the rewards in any kind for all nodes, or if there is any change to it. So I already asked the question: would those increase of validator and root nodes change the rewards, Martin?
Yes, absolutely. That's correct. And you can, referring back to the constitution, the parameters how rewards within the system are distributed is actually laid down in the constitution itself. I believe it's Appendix 6, which has all the constitution parameters. And there you see basically a split of how the fees that are generated within the protocol are distributed to the stakeholders, including root nodes and validator nodes. So in the first instance, if you increase the number of validator nodes and root nodes, that means that the existing pie is split into more pieces. So yes, in a sense, it on the face of it decreases the rewards that validators and root nodes get each. On the other hand, of course, the very idea of increasing the number of root nodes and validator nodes is to make the protocol more robust and more useful. And this is kind of a precondition, of course, for the token to be valuable and to be in demand, and for the protocol to be successful. So this is kind of the trade-off, I think, that anyone making a judgment of whether to vote yes or no, or maybe abstain, can make is, okay, do I think that this is a positive change for the protocol? And if it is positive and is expected to be increasing the value ultimately of the protocol more than the initial reduction in fee because it's split between more parties, then the vote should be yes, I guess, just purely on economic perspectives. And if that's not the case, then the vote should be no. I mean, I personally believe that it's a very positive proposal, because if you look at other protocols, validator count, I think it's fairly obvious that the Q protocol needs to increase the number of validators. I mean, even beyond what's being proposed now, on a gradual basis. So I think it's very positive. But of course, everyone should make up their own mind and think about what it means to them, of course.
Just to complete, like you say, that the share of the cake can be smaller, but overall the cake can also be bigger. So that kind of cancels itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the point.
All right. So You just mentioned something like you want to increase the nodes over time even more. So because Martin, you just mentioned it. I think we could dive to this question as well because we wanted to answer this too. So I think Alice, what is the maximum size of root and validator nodes Q actually wants to reach in the future or in short term, whatever?
So I guess the quick answer is there isn't such a goal set at all, and we don't know, and we don't plan on having a fixed number, and it's a matter of considering trade-offs. And as the project evolves and people join the community, seeing how those different elements work together, and perhaps Martin, who's much more educated on the topic, can give more details.
You want to add something, Martin?
Yeah, not much to it. I think, on the question of root nodes, Alice is the expert, and I think, as she said, it's a matter of trade-offs. So the more you have, on the one hand, the more robust the system becomes, and the more decentralized, the less, the more difficult it gets to launch any type of attacks from the root node panel, for root nodes to collaborate and maybe, make certain proposals that are not good for the protocol overall. So I think there is a strong case for increasing the number further. On the other hand, there is also at some point a trade-off where maybe individual root nodes become less involved because the panel is so large that individual root nodes don't feel as much pressure or responsibility to be active. I think on the validator side, in principle, also, there are trade-offs, maybe a bit more from the technical side. This is maybe more familiar for people also active in other protocols, where the validators work on a synchronous basis, where you do have exponentially increasing communication overhead with a number of validators. So at some point there is a trade-off between efficiency and speed, and on the one hand, decentralization, security on the other. So this is more the classic trade-offs that we know, blockchain dilemma as a keyword here, I guess. But as Alice said, there is no fixed number. Also, if you read the white paper, if the constitution, it's not like there is one goal that needs to be reached, but it's up to the community to gradually increase the number over time and find an optimal value both for root nodes and validator nodes.
Yeah. So I think it has to be mentioned that everyone actually can make a proposal. So you just have to head over to your HQ and go on the governance tab and create a proposal. Since Q is all about governance, but the Q Foundation plays an important role as a non-profit foundation, and what actual role does the Q Foundation does in this proposal? Because it's currently it's a constitution proposal, of course.
Yes, happy to kick off the question. So in this situation, because this is, as you can see, a basic constitution proposal, the required quorum, which can be seen in Appendix 6, is 25%. And unfortunately, because the project is still quite in the early stages, there might be not enough tokens in circulation, not enough engagement to reach that quorum, regardless of whether this proposed change is desirable or not. And especially in this situation, the role of the foundation is not to sway the vote, but rather to support the will of the community as is reflected with the current voting outcome by, for example, voting, like turning a neutral vote, which is equal number of yes as it is no's, but still providing that required quorum so that the desired outcome for this proposal can be realized. Martin, do you have more to add on the foundation?
No, I think that's pretty much it. So that's exactly the role of the foundation. Maybe just to add that the foundation always publishes everything that it does when it comes to voting. So I think that's good to know. It's very transparent. So if you go to the foundation's website, it's q.foundation, then you have both the voting policy, which lays down the principles according to which the foundation votes, if it votes. And also you will find links to blog posts where if the foundation becomes active, it's communicating, the reasons and what it does. So you can follow it, you can read up on it, so you know what the foundation will be up to in this vote.
Great. So I just mentioned that everyone can make a proposal and everyone can vote, of course, on Q. You just have to go over to your HQ. But how do you actually vote on Q? Is it different to other perspectives, Slimane?
Yeah, from a user perspective, just like you said, you have to get to the HQ. And of course, ideally, you have a little bit of queue and you will need to connect with your wallet and have queue funds on that wallet, ideally. And then you can make sure that you are on the right network on mainnet. You can see on the HQ the current list of proposal, and then when you get to a proposal you want to vote, you have to pay attention to the details of the proposal. For example, constitution proposal, you will have a new constitution hash, and also you will have a source detailing the proposal. If it's just protocol update, you will have technical specification, you will have a rationale explaining the motive behind that proposal. So this is what you're going to base your judgment on as a voter. Of course, nothing prevents you to create a proposal on your own too, as any queue holder. And also, yeah, if you might have also new parameter with that proposal. They refer to specific parameters. That those parameters can be found also on HQ. You have the current list of the parameters and their value. And so if you update the parameters, for example, the maximum number of validators on Q, you will have also, it will be specified and you will have the proposed value. Other parameters that you have to pay attention are the quorum, the majority requirements, and also in terms of timing, the voting timing, so when it's going to end, so you have to be on time. And following that, depending on the type of voting, for example, a constitution proposal, you will have a veto. You will have several weeks of veto after you vote, a veto period that you will have to wait out to make sure that the proposal has to be executed. And so once you're in the proposal, you can just vote and using your wallet, and that's it. But above all, make sure that you have the full understanding of the proposal if you're not sure. And of course, you can refer to the Discord to ask any question about the proposal if needed.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. So yeah, you have still around 1 week to vote on the basic constitution proposal on your HQ, like Slimane said. And if there's any question regarding this proposal, you can always dive into Telegram or Discord, ask a question in the general chat or whatever, or then in the queue holder chat, and tag one of the team, or just wait, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, we actually want to give some people a hot mic, so you can talk in the call and ask a question. For full transparency, this call will be recorded and is currently recording. So we want to upload this as well on our YouTube. So if you decide to speak, we actually will upload you as well. So is there anyone who wants to ask a question regarding this topic? Then just type here into the chat and I will give you the mic. Oh, a lot of shy people. So I think it doesn't look like anyone wants to have a hot mic. So Walter asked when Q blockchain marketing. So yeah, as you probably saw, Q community members regularly attend events like in Tokyo or Austin or Denver. So this is definitely on our radar, and there's also the Zili campaign. Regarding other stuff, I would just ask you to wait for announcements. There is a lot of preparation in the background. Of course, we can't tell something that we don't want to make public yet, to make false. Otherwise, we would do false promises when it wouldn't work. So, yeah. Does anyone else have a question? You know what? Just type it into the chat when you don't want the mic. I think that's the easiest way. All right. I think. Oh, someone is writing. Oh no, I guess also there are no questions. So I think we covered the topic of the constitution proposal pretty great. So if there are any questions, just head over head over to Telegram or Discord. We will answer your questions over there. And I think let's say goodbye. And it was nice to talk to you and that you all joined. I want to mention that all these people who are currently in the call, please make a screenshot of this call where I can actually see that you joined the call. I will open a quest on Zili/Crew3 in 10 or 20 minutes, where you can submit this screenshot, and you will get some experience for actually joining the call. So it's great, and I would say goodbye. Martin,
Yeah, goodbye. It was great.
Thanks for listening in. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.